Atomic Heart is the debut game from Mundfish, and it's an impressive mashup of a few genres, which is bursting with ideas, including a first person shooter, stealth, and also survival horror. Though Atomic Heart is an interesting game, it's got a gorgeous exterior, and it wears its inspiration of Bioshock on its sleeve for all to see. You play as Agent P3 and his AI glove in a Russian science complex set in an alternate reality. In this reality, Russia has grown very powerful, plus people here are dealing with a robot slash zombie uprising, and it's all down to you to fix it. So early on in the game, you work your way through Facility 3826, and Atomic Heart takes on the form of a survival horror game, giving off Bioshock and Half-Life vibes. Before too long, Atomic Heart hops around, morphing from survival horror into action first-person shooting, and then into puzzling. So while this genre hopping works most of the time, when it doesn't work, it is quite jarring, and it takes you out of your immersion pretty quickly. For example, combat is smooth, weapons have a good feel to them, and moving your character around the play space feels nice and fluid. You're getting in there up close and personal, dodging and moving, maybe a shotgun to the face and dodging out of lethal range all feels really good. Much of the combat feels good, however there are various issues, so combat encounters feel too long, with enemies feeling like bullet sponges, and often you can get overwhelmed by enemies and when they can take too many bullets, and then it sort of verges on becoming annoying rather than satisfying, so the sheer amount of enemies can get a little bit too much given the amount of resources that you have. For example, you've got a limited amount of bullets, and if you get overwhelmed by loads of enemies, then you're just going to run out of luck. The Power Glove is an interesting concept, though it feels like Atomic Heart doesn't really flex its gameplay muscles here. The amount of glove powers is fairly limited. For example, Shock acts as a jolt of electricity. That could be upgraded to a telekinesis lift ability, which is useful, but not really very innovative. Cryo sounds better than it actually operates, and mass telekinesis, well, that is always impressive. And you can combine these powers a little bit, but they don't really interact intuitively with the environment. Well, the action is there, but there's also stealth elements as well, so enemies appear to be honed in on your presence, so while you can approach situations in a stealthy manner, it's not the easiest way to make progress. You will likely make more progress by simply shooting your way through situations, but as I mentioned before, while that can work sometimes, it also can become a little bit of a slog due to the reasons mentioned previously. So the environment this all takes in is really beautiful and well put together. You've got grand Soviet landscapes like science labs, museums and ballet theatres. The set dressing for the game is really great to see, so it's stunning in high fidelity and the graphic design is great. It's just a shame that the gameplay that takes place here doesn't really live up to the environment. One issue that presents itself early on is the constant chatter from P3. This issue isn't isolated to Atomic Heart, it was also present in Horizon Forbidden West and to a certain extent God of War Ragnarok. When we first start out in Atomic Heart, much of its focus is on survival horror, so the constant chatting by P3 just kind of gets on your nerves. Rather than being funny or endearing, the chatter grates, doesn't really add to the experience in a positive way. After hearing P3 exclaim crispy critters for the fourth time in the opening hours, you just want to shout shut up at the screen. One of the potential great features of the game, the environments and the atmosphere, they are just simply spoiled by all that chatter. So after you trudge through the opening of the game and get out to the research station, you're going to be able to explore the Facility 3826. So this is an open world formula where you can decide whether you want to check out the next chapter in the story, or if you want to go hunting for materials and stock up on items from the test sites around the map. Again, the open world itself is quite well crafted. You can explore the research sites or a dense forest and other huge structures. While it looks nice, the open world doesn't really serve a purpose. The story beats, they're all self-contained, they're mainly underground. The open world is just kind of there. You can explore, but often you hit a blocker, you have to turn back from where you came from, giving you the illusion of a wide open space, but in reality it's just kind of empty and lifeless. Atomic Heart feels like it started with a whole bunch of ideas, but many of them feel unfinished, or appear to have been abandoned halfway through. So working your way through this survival horror, this action FPS, open world with a hint of puzzles, it feels like it would serve its audience much better if it focused on one or two ideas, rather than spreading itself very thinly across 4 or 5. So while the game feels messy in places, it does look great. Visually, this is on par with other AAA releases, plus the graphic design and the overall aesthetic of the game feels really, really good. So I played the game on the Xbox Series X and it ran very, very smoothly. Didn't have any issues or bugs or crashes or anything. The audio work is also fantastic, with the atmospheric music and tension building sound effects. Now, I did have the occasional issue with NPCs talking over one another, but to be honest, that was a minor issue in otherwise well executed audio design for the game. Overall, Atomic Heart is a very mixed up game. There's decent moments, the environments, they are gorgeous, but the overly complicated game mechanics, mixed in with the confusing blend of genres, makes this one quite hard to recommend. Given it's on Game Pass, I'd recommend giving it a try. However, I probably wouldn't go out and spend money on this title. Well, the game was developed by Mundfish, it was published by Focus Entertainment and For Divinity. It's available for the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, PC, and also Xbox Cloud Gaming. It was originally released on the 21st of February 2023. Well, that is it for my review of Atomic Heart. Bit of a strange game, that one, although if you've got Game Pass, I would recommend checking it out and playing through at least the first hour, because it does make quite a good first impression. As always, thank you so much for watching or listening. Well, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.